Hi. In today's episode of Erica Reacts, I'm going to be reading through some messages that I have received from Phish fans because whether I like it or not, I now have a platform. It's a small platform, but it's a platform. And I have various skills, but I think one of the things I can do well is I can tell stories. I like talking to people. I did randomly interview a random concert goer when I was at my first Phish show, and the reaction to that has been mixed. Most people thought it was interesting and funny, but then some people were like, "Stop interviewing Phish fans." Da, 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 da. But to that I say, I get so many nice DMs from people, and I wanted to share some messages I received from a Phish fan, very loyal Phish fan. And this was back before I even had done all my reaction videos, basically after I was being harassed by the online Phish community for not having knowledge. And that's another thing I want to talk about, gatekeeping. I have never been a gatekeeper with anything. Like if someone asks me, hey, what's advice for working out? I'll give them an opinion. Or what's a diet that works? I'll give them my opinion. There's a lot of people who gatekeep because they don't actually want to help people. They just want to help themselves. And I also think there's a phenomenon with things like Phish, or I'm going to use the example of Burning Man. So some people that go to Burning Man have this sense that they are special or they're better than other people because they go to Burning Man. But the people who go to Burning Man who are just really actually about acceptance and freedom and all that stuff, they don't care whether you go to Burning Man or not. They're not threatened. But it's people who want to keep stuff for themselves. Like, oh, well, I'm special because I've gone to Burning Man for 15 years and, oh, you're a newbie. If you come, you're never going to be accepted, blah, 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 blah. And that's just never been who I am. If anyone ever said, hey, I want to go to an opera, I'd be like, great, let's go. Let me tell you what to do to prepare so that you know what to do. Because when you go to an opera, you really should read the libretto ahead of time. You should read the summary. You should look into some music history about who's the composer, what is the time period, what is the style going to be. Because if you don't have the plot down, sometimes operas are a little bit hard to follow. But rather than being like, no, you can't go to the opera because you've never gone and you don't know anything, it's like, no, I would just help someone if they wanted to go to the opera. So that's just an example. So I get why the Phish fans, some of them, are very possessive, because I think when you have something that is kind of your whole identity, or it means so much to you, or it got you through hard times, whatever that is, if you are in a scarcity mindset, you're in the false reality that you think that if there's only one pie, and let's just say that pie has 100 people in it. So let's say there was 100 Phish fans in a pie, and that's all the Phish fans in the world. If you're in scarcity mindset, you believe that if 10 more people try to come into the pie, that means you get less pie. And in reality, there is no scarcity. When you have abundance, you realize that there's no reason to gatekeep. In fact, you should let more people in, and that doesn't take away from you. And the more that you're open and accepting, the more that good things will come to you. So in general, whenever I get that from people, I'm like, oh, they're just in a scarcity mindset. That's okay. You know, I used to be in a scarcity mindset. I was raised in a scarcity mindset, actually. I think it's just kind of having boomer parents. They had Great Depression parents, right? So they were like, oh, there's not enough food. There's not enough this. Like, you need to finish everything on your plate. You know, that's very boomer parents. Like, oh, we can't get rid of anything because you might need to sell it. Just everything. Scarcity in love, scarcity in resources, scarcity in money. If you kind of have that mindset, you're always worried your whole life. You're always looking over your shoulder. So my point is, you don't need to be like that. We can just all share Phish. And yes, unfortunately, the tickets are expensive, and that they do sell out, and there is a lottery system, and there's so many fans, and there's just not enough shows for everybody to go to, and there's so many diehard people that spend all their money on going to these concerts anyway. So I do get where it's like, oh, great, another fan. But if you really love something and you really believe in something, and you know how much it helped you through difficult times or gave you inspiration, wouldn't you want to share that with more people, but in like an open-minded, accepting way, and understand, like my best example, again, going back to opera, they're in German, they're in Italian, they're in French. Most people are going to be like, what the F is this? Why are we listening to this? It's not even in my language. And that's kind of how people who don't know what Phish is maybe react to Phish when they first just hear, for example, Tweezer or something. It goes on forever and ever and ever. And they're like, what is this? This is so, I don't understand. They don't have the tool set. If you don't have the tool set, or you haven't been through it and you haven't seen it before, it's something that's just very foreign to you if you were never raised with anything like that. So I think it's better that you just keep an open mind. And so if anyone ever asks me, what do I do to go to an opera? I'm going to say, read this book, listen to this. You should listen, and then it's fine. But I don't need to be all elitist about it and be like, you never listened to operas as a child? Oh, your parents didn't teach you about classical music growing up? Like, oh, you don't speak German and Italian and French? Ugh. You don't have basic knowledge of Shakespeare plots? No. Not at all. I just don't think that's helpful. It doesn't make me feel better about myself. It doesn't make me feel happy. I don't get it. So the good thing is that I found that 95% of the Phish fans are very nice. And the ones who came to the concert, I'd say it's even better. Everyone was in good vibes. No one was mean. Everyone was so happy. At one point, I kind of snuck all the way up to the second row, like not on the rail, but one behind the rail. And this guy was like, hey, like my friend is actually standing there, but you can hang out here until she gets back. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. You know what I mean? Like, so he was like a tarper, but he wasn't like, get the F out of here. This is someone's spot. He was like, yeah, you can stand here until. And by the way, there was actually a lot of room up there. I think it gets crowded in pockets, but sometimes surprisingly close to the stage isn't necessarily so crowded. It just depends. So I felt there was actually a lot of pockets of space that I was able to get right behind the rail at times. One. Okay, now let's get into the episode. This is going to be some messages that I received, and I'm just going to read them. And if this resonates with anybody, just comment, because I think a lot of these are universal Phish experiences for people who have been following them since 1.0. For those who don't know, and I just learned this too, by the way, 1.0 is that you followed Phish before a certain year, and I think it has to be in the 90s or something, or before 2001. There's some cutoff date where you have to have like been listening to Phish before, and that makes you a 1.0. The OGs, basically. So, this fan said, Trey A. of Phish also plays with different city symphonies and scored a Broadway musical. He is truly genius, and you've not even scratched the surface, not even touch a grain of sand. Now, by the way, these messages were sent to me before I even did any reaction videos, or maybe I had just done like one reaction video and the video was mole. So we will forgive myself for that. All right, let's see. Here's the next thing they wrote. Phish grew their fan base like the Dead did by allowing free taping of their shows. Then we traded and shared the tapes. Plus, their live shows are always different. The fans didn't keep them a secret, but more the radio didn't play the songs because of their length and the fact that they are really bizarre. Once Billy Joel was mad because Madison Square Garden booked Phish for New Year's Eve instead of him, to which he told press, they're just a cover band. Phish retaliated by playing no covers for many consecutive shows after that. All the stats are on Phish.net. And then by booking 13 consecutive shows at MSG called The Baker's Dozen, each show themed on a different type of donut, and didn't repeat a single song. The donut dress was made by one of the drummer's friends, who was a fashion major. Fishman saw it laying on a chair at a party at her house and put it on as a joke because it was so ugly. He enjoys wearing the dress because, quote, his balls sweat, end quote, and it's more comfortable. They said there are university classes, and then people tell me I need to write a book about my experiences, but I think the blog True Crime Makeup Thingy would be more popular and my stories aren't interesting in print. Like the time I inadvertently joined an acid cult. Didn't know until I tried to leave because we didn't have phone or pictures. Oh, I think I said, I do think people had cooler stories in the 80s and 90s. And she goes, yeah, because we didn't have phones and pics. True. And celebrities didn't have to be so guarded. And then, let's see. I didn't move here until 1984, so my parents missed all the 70s stuff. We were forbidden to wear dungarees until I was out of my own, 1969. Oh, I was born here, but my dad was in Vietnam, and so we lived in Bangkok, in England. I grew up on a royal family estate where the Stones hung out. And then they sent a picture of their house. The house I lived in, 30 minutes from where Princess Di grew up. Anyway, hope you'll continue to check out Phish. Try Cypress, their New Year's Eve 1999 to 2000 show. I think they played like 12 hours straight or some crazy like that. Ask me anything. I ran around with the drummer a bit. Before that, I was pretty close in the dead circle. Okay, so back to me talking. That's cool. Now, by the way, this person had told me about Cypress back then. This was like many, many, many months ago, like September. I wasn't paying attention, okay? So one of the comments I just got on TikTok was a really mean comment. It was in that interview where I go, what was your favorite show? And the guy's like, oh, Cypress. I go, oh, where is that? And then I go, what is that? And he goes, oh, it was like this 12-hour show. And they're like, do your research. You should be knowing these things. You sound like an idiot. I'm like, no. Don't you know that asking questions is okay? And it's actually a sign of curiosity. It's a sign of learning. The way I learn is by asking questions. And whenever I go to get my nails done, and a lot of the people there are from Vietnam, I talk to them just like they're any other valued member of society, because they are. And I ask them all about things that I would not know from any, because they have knowledge of Vietnam. So I ask them questions about their culture and like things from growing up in Vietnam, and they know all sorts of cool stuff. They're nail techs, and then they also have their families and their moms, and they have recipes. Like, I ask them questions. I don't think like, oh, well, I don't know everything, so how dare you even ask? It's like, no, it should not be how we are. Everybody needs to be better. If we all took a curiosity mindset, an open-minded, loving mindset, we don't have to be so judgy and elitist. That's my point, okay? Now, going on, let's see what else this person said. I enjoyed that video of you infiltrated our scene. Good idea. Okay, it was where I did the one where I pretended I was like made the parody video of Phish derangement syndrome, where I was like, if only I could infiltrate a group. I thought that was funny. Okay, the truth is I didn't infiltrate Phish to promote my music. That was just a funny idea to make the video. But I did think there is such a thing as Phish derangement syndrome, where people either love Phish or they hate Phish, right? Like, because if they've heard it and they didn't get it, and they don't get the cacophony, and they don't get the 30-minute songs and the trampolines and all, they're just like, what the F is this, So I get that. So that's why I thought Phish derangement syndrome was funny. And I was just trying to lean into the situation, because make lemonade out of lemons. All right. So going on with this person. People seem to enjoy my stories when I tell them out at shows and camping and stuff. So, have you finally got a chance to listen to any good Phish? Wilson, Yem, Sand. And then we talked, okay. Making fun or not, any press is good press. Plus, Callie. Okay, we were just chatting about life. So yeah, I really enjoyed. Okay, then we talked about musical theater a little bit. I talked about how I sing. She said, I think you should continue to post recordings of you watching the videos, but talk a little less and use more facial expressions. And go from total unlike into shock and then admiration, of course, all in truth. I was like, okay. Please do one on Fishman playing vacuum. I haven't done that yet. Oh yeah. Good idea, because those fans hate talking over the music. They are obsessed. But facial expressions will kill it. By the way, I did end up doing that eventually. And I actually just think it's because people really want to hear the song. And then if I don't talk during it, it's just better. And then I can react after. Sometimes I need to take notes though, or if something there's really crazy, I just pause it and I talk. I'm like, oh my God, I have to say something right now, because it just like comes to my mind and I don't want to forget. Okay, here's more stories from this person. So again, we had this really long conversation over many months. I actually hadn't been to a show in a decade, but I've seen hundreds. Like I said, I hung out with them, ran around with the drummer a bit. Yes, many of us actually made a living selling stuff in parking lots. I once got mugged, had nothing, and sold jokes for 50 cents, songs for $1. Then if you just walked by, I'd follow you singing about don't you wish you picked joke for 50 cents? Because now you owe me $1. It made me $300 in 2 hours. We're very creative. Mostly people gave me $20 to quote, get the F away from them, LOL. And then I said, what is the deal with this person, Debbie Martin? Because in this one Facebook group called Phish Fans Who Hate Phish Fans, there's some weird common things they just keep posting about. Like they're obsessed with this one weird like hippie singer girl, but then they also just talk about Debbie Martin all the time. So I was like, who is Debbie Martin? What's the deal with Debbie Martin? And so, okay, Debbie Martin was a stock account, only believed for maybe a few hours online, then just stupid all online. These male Phish fans are super tech geeks, but as far as the band, you really haven't even scratched the surface. But you've definitely lucked out because no one is doing video reviews such as you're looking to do. If you've got a thick skin, this could actually be your thing, but try the facial expression thing. And like I said, it will benefit if you end up liking the songs in the end, but only if they're actually good. Because a lot of them do suck. That's what I was like, okay, cool. All right, now there's more. Okay, this person gave me so much information, and I just want to share it because I would do this in an interview format. And if you guys want to be interviewed, I'm happy to do it. I'm very natural at talking and asking questions. Like it's really easy for me. I love just having conversations. So if you want to be interviewed, great. If you're more of a behind the keyboard person, behind a secret screen name, just comment on this video. Tell me your stories. I can always summarize them in another video. I think it's nice to just hear it out loud. I would say I have a pleasing voice, not when I talk in my annoying, can Gen X please explain to me what the big deal is with this band Phish? It's called Phish, but it's spelled Phish, and it's a band. That's how I got my first viral video, by the way. I spoke like that. But this is my real voice. Okay. Yem also, character 0 is brilliant, rhyming and very poppy. Yem has minimal lyrics. Character, or CH0 is all lyrics. And you can ask me about the stories behind each song. As I said, some of that info is online, but I know the band and have firsthand info stories from the horse's mouth. Stay in touch. Really want you to do character 0. Actually, not character 0, Picture of Nectar. Picture of Nectar is a lyric genius, in my opinion, and very poppy. Let me know. And then they corrected me when I did my Phish Fitness, because I did totally make mistakes on Phish Fitness. Like I said, Carini was a bathroom song. I don't agree with that now. So now I almost need to do like Phish Fitness 2. Maybe it'll be like a different type of aerobics or something. But they said TTE is the P song, not Carini. Rail riders dance harder if they think Trey is looking at them. I'm here to help you if you decide to make another. Did you know there's some guys who even wear diapers so they don't have to leave the rail? I've had so many ideas to fill your content. That's so funny. Water bottle lids, glow sticks, litter bombs, homemade Uno cards to trade, tarps, and duct tape to secure them. There's a white towel crew. They put those hotel towels over rail to stake their claim. They're usually older white guys. There's also one girl who always wears a bikini top, even in winter indoor shows. But the guys who wear diapers, insane. This guy writes great satire. The first volume is the best, if you can order it anymore. Breaks down all the stereotypes. And the book was hippie watching. So anyway, that's just some messages I've gotten. If you want me to share a particular story or your experience with the band, I would love to hear it. I find this stuff so interesting. I've always thought of myself as kind of a sociologist. I'm just very interested in society, people, movements. You know, like if you look back at the first hippies, I'm like, wow, how did that even happen? I wish I was there. And I love historical movies, historical fiction movies. So really, I love, and now with YouTube and TikTok and video content, podcast content, I do really think people prefer to just hear it and see it on a video rather than reading through long books and long articles. And I think people just like to see the format of someone reading it out loud. So if you just want to even write me an email, feel free, message me, give me your story. I'm happy to share it with everybody. Because I also get to learn by doing it. And in terms of how you can support me, obviously subscribe. I am not making any money yet on YouTube or TikTok because for TikTok, I need to have 10,000 followers and I'm at 6,000. So I need a few more thousand. So that will be good. Then I can monetize. On YouTube, I need 3,000 watch hours in a year. So how can you help me? Watch my videos a lot, share my videos a lot. And then what would really help also is I have on my Linktree, I have a Cash App. So if you want to send me even just $1, $2, $5, like really any little bit helps because I do spend a lot of time on content creation, hours. I think I probably spend at least 5 hours a day right now, just like editing TikTok videos, sharing TikTok videos, and I put it on and I have to do TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then sometimes also Twitter X, right? So I'm basically on all these forums, and now I just discovered Reddit. So it's just a lot of time, okay? So if, for example, you really want me to review something, react to a video, send me a little Cash App, buy me a drink. That'd be great. Buy me enough to buy a drink. Perfect, right? I'll review that tomorrow, okay? Because then that helps me. It gives me a little bit of reinforcement that we're moving in the right direction here, so that if I can just get to 3,000 watch hours in a year, my channel will become monetized, and then that will help me do this more full-time, or not full-time, but at least like half-time, right? I still am going to always teach voice. I'm always going to teach piano, but I would love to dedicate more time to this, and there's just so many things to watch and react to and to share with you guys. So again, I hope you like this. This is kind of an impromptu podcast episode. I didn't really have much of a topic. I just wanted to talk about, again, reading some stories that have been shared with me. And then the other main point is, please live in abundance. If you need help with living in abundance, let me know. But we don't need to gatekeep, and we can be open. Now, by the way, just to end this episode on a humorous note, now there's people saying, I think now that you are okay with Phish, I think you should start to why don't you look into Goose now? Because they're also a Goose fan. They're like, I think you'll like it. It's more of like a millennial following. Their songs are considered better songwriting. I'm like, oh God, here comes another community of very possessive fans to harass me. So great. So no, I think we'll stick with a little bit at a time. Little by little, I discover different things. I'm happy to look into anything. I actually don't even know really anything about the Grateful Dead, because I grew up in a Beatles household. I think I mentioned this before. And that's part of the thing, is I didn't come from a tradition of hippie rock. That's not my background. I was into the Beatles, right? It's the other rock and roll, kind of right? But I am really happy to just share these experiences with you. So if you want to be on an interview, face to face on video, we can do that. If you want to just do voice interview, you can do that. If you want to just type up something and I'll read it, we can do that. But let's just try to create more community, because a lot of people live really far from each other, and this is a way we can all feel connected online in general. Until the next show, as they say, right? All right. I hope you like this. If you liked it, please please share, please subscribe. Please send me $1, and it's all in my link tree, all my other channels, and my Cash App link. Thank you so much. Bye.